Now, this campaign is essentially a shit show. You know it. I know it. We all know it. And it's also has seemed to brought out the worst in humanity. Facebook, Twitter, you go on there, nothing but vitriol. Nothing but just bullshit and conspiracies and from both sides. It's coming out from everywhere, right? And look, this is what happens when you bring two of the most disliked candidates out of the woodwork and have them run in the two major parties. So now Monmouth asked people, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this election in total? Well, here's one of the results. 70% of American voters think the presidential campaign has brought out the worst in people. This is a Monmouth University poll. Now, only 4%, that's minuscule, think that, no, it's brought out the best in people. Really? Who?
Yeah, well, what's their logic behind that?
I have no clue.
All my friends just say what's on their mind now.
Yeah, that's great. And if it just happens to be, super racist and everything like that, well, hey,
Right.
they're just being honest. I mean,
Odd parallels there.
I know. All right, there's more to this, and you're gonna love this, right? Some voters have said that this race has taken a toll on their personal relationships. 7% of respondents reported having lost or ended a friendship over the campaign. Now this, Ron, this is not a surprise to me. Especially, look at it from the Democratic Party, right? Look at the primary. Such a contentious primary between Bernie Sanders voters and Hillary Clinton voters. And look, I've seen a lot of people draw the line and disagree to a point of where it ended friendships. Oh, you're a shill. You're unrealistic. You're a dreamer. You don't. And dreamer in a bad context, apparently. You're pie in the sky. Well, you're a corporate sellout. On and on and on. In between friends, and it could end friendships. Now, I'm not so petty to end friendships when it comes to political differences, right? I've got friends who I completely disagree with. I mentioned earlier that I have a lot of libertarian friends. I talk to them a lot, even though we disagree on about half, maybe policy-wise. So 7% of people, sorry, you're not my friend anymore. Wow. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty that's pretty significant to end a friendship over something like political differences. But I mean, I don't know. I've always thought about this. I don't think I could ever be romantically involved with somebody on the opposite end of the spectrum than me.
Oh, you know what? No, here's the thing, right? I could totally get it. Because of one reason. Hate fuck.
But you could do that indefinitely. You could do that that could be the only thing.
Maybe.
Like you and just be like, well, Trump just says what's on his mind, and you're just like, no, like you could just indefinitely do that.
He's a moron. He's screwing you over. Speak about screwing you.
I couldn't do it. It would just
relationships are weird, Ron. They're weird.
Well, you're a married guy. I'm not. So you got something figured out that I don't, or
yeah.
Life,
apparently
whatever.
I do.
But but yeah, I mean, I don't think I could ever, because I mean, we would just be on different sides of I feel like our values just wouldn't quite line up, and that would be sort of a deal breaker.
Well, here's the thing, right? I think I'm convinced that most people believe in the same thing, or want the same result, right? We all want a better country. We all want more fairer country. We want jobs. We want good careers. We want happy, healthy families, right? We just disagree, sometimes vociferously, immensely, on how to do it, right? Sane liberals, sane conservatives, we want the same things for the most part, and we just go about in different ways. Now, of course, there's the extremes, which are something that you could point to and say, nope, no, nothing in common there. Not at all. Because you literally, one of your beliefs is, get rid of black people. Yeah, I'm not with you. Most of America is not with you. whether you're conservative or liberal, libertarian, most of America doesn't agree with that. There's just a very small portion, minority of people who think like that and are incredibly racist.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thoughts, and I don't know if I'm correct. That's just what I.
Well, I don't know, man. My thing is like I was in a very in-depth discussion with somebody who was supporting Trump, and very intelligent guy, had a lot of thoughts on the issues, and it was a constructive discussion. But at the end of the day, his argument was, well, I just think we need to start looking out for other Americans right now. And I was like, well, I think that too, but I think that means that everybody has access to health care. Everybody has food in their belly. Everybody has the chance to make a living wage if they're working an honest job 40 hours a week. Isn't that what that is? And his perspective was, no, I don't care about any of those things. I think we just need to get out brown people that aren't documented. That was where he was at the end of the day. He, of course, did not put it in those blunt of terms. He tied it up and put a bow on it. But essentially, his argument boiled down to looking out for Americans means kicking out the people that aren't documented.
Yeah, that's essentially, at this point, what Make America Great Again means. Now, it's a slogan, right? It's a good slogan.
Is it a good slogan, Jeff?
Well, it's catchy in what I mean.
It leaves a lot of question, especially of course, when you factor who it came from, gee, you inherited a bunch of money and had everything handed to you. When was America never great for you?
Yeah.
But even taking away who it's attached to, just taking Trump out of the Make America Great Again. What does that really mean? When was it not great? What does it mean to be great? Do you mean you want the unions to be strong again? Do you mean that everybody gets a living wage? Do you mean that you want us to produce more? Do you mean that you want us to go further back where maybe we did some not so nice things? What does that really mean?
It's vague, and that's what's great about it. It's incredibly vague. Everybody takes their own meaning from that, and that's what makes it successful. It's not great. But that's what because there are a lot of people out there that feel that it isn't great for them. And we're talking about.
Don't you love your country, Jeff? Don't you love your country? Don't you stand for the national anthem?
No,
do you kneel?
I don't. It's the thing that makes it.
I'm just saying, I don't think it's a very good slogan. Just speaking political strategy.
I think it is. I disagree with you. I think it's vague to that point of where you can draw your own meaning. And it really plays. Look, in this election, it plays incredibly well. In other elections, you would be absolutely right, Ron. But in this election, it plays differently because it goes to that. Yeah, America's been failing me. It's not doing so great. I'm not making as much money as I used to make, and I don't have as many opportunities as I used to have. I'm not getting paid as much. I'm seeing our government screw us over, and spend our tax money. Yeah, I want to make America great again. Now, the slogan's good, right? I think, but the people who created that slogan and the policies that are backed behind that slogan, not good. They wouldn't make America great.
And the people in other countries that print up those slogans?
Yeah. No, you know what would make America great again, right? Is if we went back partly to the tax rates back in the 1960s and 1950s and 60s. Which actually was great for the middle class. We go back to the labor union policies of the 1950s and 60s. Now, the one thing that wasn't so great in the 1950s and 60s was racial justice. As in, we didn't have it. We didn't have any racial justice. So for African Americans, America was never great. And I totally agree with that.
Well, we still have a long way to go with
do.
Racial justice.
Yeah.
Jeff. We still have a long, long way to go.
Can I get some more statistics in here? Let's see. Talking about the language, right? The rhetoric that you've been hearing. 30% of voters said that harsh language used today in politics is justified. Things like crooked Hillary or, loser Donald or whatever like that. Crazy Bernie. Whatever else you call Jill Stein and what is Aleppo. Gary Johnson. 30%. Among those who support Clinton, 17% agreed However, among Trump voters, 47% said that their campaign's harsh language is justified. So that tells me that these people are motivated. These people are pissed off, and they're far more motivated, and those attacks against Hillary Clinton resonate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, his entire campaign is about demonizing groups of people. I mean, that's pretty much... I mean, when you watch that debate, Trump had about 2 or 3 talking points that he would just recycle. And when he didn't have an answer to Lester Holt's question, which was very frequent, he would just say, I just have to say one important thing. I don't know if you noticed that, but that was always how he would just say, I just have one important thing to say. Mm-hmm. That was Trump speak for, I don't have an answer to your actual question, but here's one of my talking points that I'm going to dress up in word salad again and just reiterate. And, it was blaming Clinton entirely for NAFTA, talking about trade and the TPP, talking about foreign policy, which, I mean, he would be maybe the biggest disaster ever in the history of this country on. Those were kind of the only talking points he had because he has no policy plans. So really, I mean, it is a typical by-the-book, propaganda-fueled fear of the other campaign. That's all he has. So of course they're going to be angry, and of course they're going to justify that kind of language.
Right. One more thing too to add to that is that 20% of voters said that they're angry with Washington, and 66% said that they're dissatisfied. So that anger, that dissatisfaction leads to that negative rhetoric because, I mean, you look in this election, who's the face of the establishment? No doubt Hillary Clinton.
Mm-hmm.
She's a representative of what has been crushing the American middle class and the poor for the last, 30, 40 years since Reaganomics.
Mm-hmm.
So she's that representative, and so people look at her and go, man, she's everything that we despise. Even though I think on some policy grounds, a lot of Americans would actually agree. I mean, you look at the polls on minimum wage. Majority of Americans say, yes, let's raise the minimum wage. Let's get it to a living wage.
Right.
Yes, let's go after these terrible trade deals, which now Hillary Clinton's on the side of, hey, I'm against TPP. Donald Trump, same side, against TPP. I know there's a trust issue with Hillary Clinton, and I agree with that. I don't trust her at all.
Yeah.
To do anything on that with her past experience working with TPP, calling it the gold standard, etc. But to get back to the numbers, this explains the rhetoric, and this explains just the anger and the dissatisfaction with Washington shows why Hillary Clinton is not doing well, and Donald Trump is actually doing surprisingly well. And because look, if this were a normal election, Donald Trump wouldn't have a chance.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Donald Trump talks in sound bites, and he's aware of that. He ended the debate justifying calling Rosie O'Donnell a pig or whatever it is that he called her. I mean, he pretty much just justified that. And that was his last point. That's where our political discourse has gotten us. I mean, the entire time throughout the debate, I'm like, I thought there was supposed to be an opening act of a guy getting kicked in the nuts. What happened to that guy? Because, I mean, it was just very much a parody of itself.
This whole entire election is, again...
It's like a shark, NATO, except with poop.
Yeah.
The most accurate soundbite ever recorded. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent, non-corporate media, go to our Patreon page and become a patron. Patreon.com/TYTNation.